Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Brace for Impact, episode 28. Parks. We're
Yeah.
kicking it. We're kicking it out. Parks a little upset because we just did about 30 minutes without.
We did
recording.
half an hour, and I
We
wasn't
did 30
recording my
minutes.
voice.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Listen, it
I'm having
happens.
fun.
It happens, right?
I can't wait to talk about the same things over again.
Oh, I know, right? We're gonna have to act like we completely didn't.
I
Look
want to
up
go
any of this
faster
stuff
through the
previously.
Asia Cup qualifier.
Listen, let's go through the eight. Let's start with the results. Let's start with the Asia qualifier, and let's start by talking about the team. So, a note, right? Is you had the Oceanic team. So KCG Hera were in here. Stacks of Cash were in here.
Yeah.
KCG Hera, Nukes, Kimbab, Phoebe,
It was
it's
the team Australia minus
no,
BBon.
that's KCG Hera. Team Australia
Oh,
is
sorry.
Stacks of Cash.
My bad.
Artemis,
Frosting.
HDiz, Connie, Soko. Don't force it, Parks. Just let it naturally be.
No.
Anyway, we had the Filipino and the Thai side that we normally get in the Asian qualifier. Fiery G's, Invincible team. Obviously, HSG were in there. And then you had is it what? How do you say it?
I don't know.
Arwin Queens or something like that, which is like Viscos, Monday. So a different Connie, not Connie that we had on the pod previously, different Connie. And then you had Sailor Moon, which is actually a team that we've seen in the Take Game Goddess Cup previously.
Yeah.
Joker, Candid, Kimberly is on that team. And bracket went kind of as you expected. HSG got the bye. Invincible team beat Fiery G's. We've seen that in the Cash Cup before, 2-0. Invincible teams are making it a bit competitive, though. They didn't this time. Those 13-2, 13-3.
Yeah.
Stacks of Cash beat Arwen Queens 2-0, and KCG Hera beat Sailor Moon 2-0.
On a forfeit. Yeah, I think that was a forfeit.
Yeah, that was the forfeit. They didn't show up. They. I'm like, oh, guys, come on. But anyway, you got an all Aussie matchup in the semifinal, right?
Yeah.
HSG made quick work of Invincible team. 13-5, 13-7. I actually thought they looked okay on the Ancient Invincible team. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Like, Ancient is HSG's map. You took 7 rounds off them. It's not bad. Mirage is their map, though, and they didn't look very good on it. But Stacks of Cash played Overpass and Inferno. And the Overpass was a bit of a beatdown, 13-6. No, I shouldn't say a bit of a beatdown. 13-6 isn't like a huge beatdown, but we got an overtime on the Inferno, 16-13.
Yeah.
And Stacks of Cash won, which means they had to play HSG.
And that was against KZG Hera.
Yeah.
So that was the two Oceanic teams going up against each other for the opportunity to play against HSG.
Yeah.
And
we got a close one too in that final.
Yeah, it was good. The first map, Mirage, 13-11 for HSG. That was on Mirage, and then the 13-7 on Ancient for HSG as well. They didn't get to Inferno. So Stacks of Cash made a valiant effort, and ended up not coming away with it. And I mean, there's so much stuff to go with this, and we already talked about it, so we'll go over it again because we need to.
Well, what I was gonna say is, I Ancient was one of those things, like HSG is like made that quite a home map.
Yes,
and it's not really played as much in the Asia Cash area, the Oceanic Cash Cups. So I'm looking at it going, right, HSG all day on the Ancient. They really needed to take the Mirage to have a chance. Stacks of Cash, and they just didn't. They lost both pistols in a 13-11 loss too. It's like, it's brutal. But
one of those things.
So HSG are going to the qualifier. That's the main news. And
they're going to Valencia.
Do not get me wrong for what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
I am not an HSG hater. I love HSG. I love a lot of the players. I'm super happy for Naomi. It's going to be her second land ever.
Yeah.
I said land instead of land, but you get the point. Anyway, it's not Magic. It's not Magic the Gathering. I play land. Anyway, it is. I'm super happy for her, right? Because I think she's very young and a pretty good talent, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the ceiling's very high for her. I'm a little bit upset with the way this happened though, because I'm gonna make the joke again.
Yeah, dude, please.
Okay, and that is ESL. I got a question for you. Why you always lying? It's like here's the thing.
It's not better the second time.
No, it's not better the second time. Context now. The joke's over though, right?
Mm-hmm. That's important.
So the Aussie teams were told, hey, if you get an all Aussie matchup, no matter what point it is, final, semifinal, quarterfinal, we'll give you a Sydney server to play on, right?
Yeah.
And the admins never. I don't remember the admins ever agreeing to give a Guam server. Should it be Australia versus Asia?
They never said they
But
would give it, but they would have Guam as an option. So
right. Well, the problem is the two servers. There's 5 servers in Asia, right?
yeah,
Tokyo, Seoul, Singapore, Hong Kong, and
Guam.
Guam. And there's 2 servers that are really good for the Aussies, or would be competent for the Aussies. Guam and Singapore.
Yeah.
Well, you only play on one server, so you get 2 bans. So what do you think HSG is going to do?
Ban
They're
both
going
those.
to ban they're going to ban them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are the Aussie teams going to do? Seoul and Tokyo are way further north than Hong Kong, so they're going to ban them, and you're going to play on Hong Kong. And the Chinese team's going to have 30 ping, and the Aussie team's going to have 150 ping. So it's like
Just swing harder, man.
I mean, CS2, you might be able to.
Yeah,
to be fair,
you might be able to get away
no,
with it.
the point is, like, I'm disappointed in ESL because to me it's a lack of integrity, competitive integrity. Like, I'm not saying the qualifiers scuffed, but what I am saying is, the whole point of Impact is to grow the scenes, right? They want to grow the scenes in all these different regions. They haven't given anything to 2 regions now for the entire calendar year. We had Bibiano on this podcast. She called it lazy, and that is the perfect word to describe it. She's 100% on the nose, right? And the problem that I have is, if you want to grow the scene, when do the actions actually come to match that? Like, at some point, what you do with the Impact circuit and the qualifier spots has to match the mission. And it's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not right now. So
and two things. The one we didn't mention was they were told if 2 Australian teams can't one up against each other, they'd say that you can play on a Sydney server. That didn't end up happening because we did have that happen where Stacks of Cash went up against KCG Hera. There wasn't a Sydney server, so that was a lie. And then of course I think there were issues. They didn't end up ever actually having a Guam server anyways, so there wasn't any server banning that worked in their favor anyway. Like, there was nothing for them, which sucks. So having an Asia qualifier just to basically get HSG in, it's a false hey, where it's open for everybody. It really isn't. Like, it's them going, we have a superstar in Olga who's gone to HSG. We have a very good team in HSG who made a splash at the start of the year, and in Katowice, before Katowice in season 2, they made a splash. And as a result, HSG have been looked at more favorably. And I mean, it kind of gets to the point where it's like, you should just invite them. Like, why are we having an open qualifier that is so obviously made for HSG to qualify for? Like, don't get me wrong, there could have been an upset here, like Stacks of Cash could have won. And all of a sudden it's Stacks of Cash going into HSG. But the whole thing was, this qualifier is made for HSG to turn up, win, and then go to Valencia.
Oh, you had no idea how much I would have loved Stacks of Cash.
That would have been hilarious, first of all, just because all of the ping issues, the fact that they're not a signed team, the fact that, like, the closest bond, like the bond that they have is because they do all the Cash Cups together. As players, they play the Cash Cups together, and they went to, the core of this team.
4th at IESF.
Exactly. So it's a weird thing to think about in that way, but like, I dislike it, and I get it. I get why they're like, oh, but we want the popular team. Of course you do. You want to have a good product, but at some point you got to turn that around and say, we need teams.
The best way they can have a good product is to make it for everyone. And right now they have not made it for everyone.
No.
And my problem is with ESL, it's all self-inflicted wounds too. It's all, we're going to have these wildcard spots. We're just going to make it Asia. We're going to have the Sydney server for you guys. We didn't configure it. We're going to have, like, come on, mate. Oh my God, like, come on. And a lot of the admins are like, and I understand the point. I'm not going to point blame at the admins, but a lot of the admins are like, oh, it's not configured. There's not much we can do. You can speak up. You could send something up the chain. You probably will never get hired by ESL again, unfortunately. Because, that's the way they are. But it's it's one of those things where it's like, it's annoying. It's very, very annoying, and it just could have been so much better. Like, this circuit right now is about a 6 to 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
right? It's good. There's a lot of improvements that can be made. And it feels like instead of like taking a leap from making it 7 to 9, 7 to 10 out of 10, 7 to 7.1, 7
Yeah.
to 7,
It's
it's like,
little
come
tinkering.
on.
It's not big
Yeah,
big
it's like,
bits.
come on. We know what the issue is here.
Yeah.
And you know how to fix it, and you have the capabilities to fix it, but you won't fix it. Anyway, that's all I got to say. I would have loved, by the way, ESL would have had to have done something in terms of giving an OCE a wild card spot next year, guaranteed, if they had beaten HSG in this one.
That
Because
would have
had
been
they
very
have,
interesting.
you'd have had Aussies show up to North America and beat everybody in there, and show up to Asia and beat everybody in there.
Yeah.
And they can take down 2 whole other regions, and you won't give them a spot at the LAN. You're a fool. That's what I
Yeah.
would say. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it just didn't work out that way.
All right. Well, that is the Asia Cup qualifier. We'll come back to ESL Impact in a bit. The next thing that we're gonna kind of quickly go over is Girl Gamer.
Oh yeah, oh
They
joy.
Girl Gamer Cape Town. They had their little thing, and 4 teams have qualified for it. And I don't think it's much of a surprise for most of these teams. It is ATK qualifying, White Ramada Morales, optional extras, who I have no idea who they are, and Aperture, who beat out Evasive and V Fortress to get there. So those are the 4
Yes.
teams that are going to go to Cape Town to play in the actual LAN itself.
Yep.
Yeah,
They did
that's
this
huge.
Yeah. First off, yes, I'm happy for the teams, right? I am. No, I am, right?
Let's let them have like a second of happiness before we go
Yeah.
on Girl Gamer.
I'm not tearing the teams down, mate.
No, I know.
I'm looking forward to the event, actually.
Yeah.
My concern is that the same stuff that was a problem at the last LAN that, remember, was brought up in our Newt interview. So if you haven't seen it, go watch the Newt
We
interview.
talked about that a lot.
Yes, we did. The same problems that we had at that LAN were in this qualifier.
Yeah.
Meaning they were 6 teams that was round robin, totally fine with that format. 4 teams went to the LAN, totally fine with that. But the points you earned were based off the maps you won, not the series. So you could have a team finish 1-4 technically, and you could have a team finish 0-5.
And the
You
team
could
that
have a
went
team
0-5 won. Gets higher
you
up.
could have a team that's 2-3, a team that's 1-4, and a team that's 0-5. And if the team that's 0-5 took a map in every single series, they would go
Yeah.
ahead. And it's like, why? Like, that makes no sense. So thankfully, it didn't look like that was much of a factor. I mean, Aperture only won 2 maps, and Evasive won like 3.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, I don't know, but still, like, Evasive could have been 0-5, and Aperture could have been 1-4, and it's like, it's just such a wank format, and they haven't learned from the last, because that was the way the standings were the last time they ran it. So it's like, listen, Girl Gamer, I see what you're trying to do, but you're really bad at it. So if you want any ideas on how not to do it, go watch our pod with Newt. Okay?
Yeah, that is exactly it. That's all we have to say really on that one. Honestly, there's not too much more.
No more. There's no more even.
So we'll swiftly move over then into South America for a bunch of results. There's a bunch of different stuff going on. The biggest one is a amalgamation of sorts because of where they were in terms of timing.
Nice.
Liga Gamers Club Serie Femenina. It has been turned into Superliga.
Superliga Femenina.
And that's mostly due to timing and everything.
Yeah.
Just because there wasn't that many months left in the year, because they're usually you were saying they run 2 tournaments a year, and they kind of basically had 4 months to run this one. So
it's the unfortunate it's the unfortunate of being a second tournament organizer, because if you're a second TO, ESL just doesn't think you exist. So the problem is Gamer Club waited to announce Liga Femenina. Granted, I think they waited a little too long, to be fair, but they waited to see what the Impact circuit was going to be like, because they didn't want to schedule an event and then ESL comes out and was like, hey, we're going to have our LAN finals that weekend. You know what I mean? So it was like, they didn't want to do that. So they waited. ESL didn't announce the dates for the Impact League until, like, late March.
Yeah.
So, it's like, so then Gamers Club has to turn around and be like, all right, I guess we'll run our circuit in April around Impact.
Yeah.
It's just tough. So it's left them, the Masters Femenina finished in August. It's left them 4 months to do the whole circuit. Well, they said we're going to scrap the second league of Femenina. We're just going to make one. Top two will go to the tournament Masters,
Yeah.
and the four will make the closed qualifier, and then we'll just run the regular open qualifiers.
Right.
So I haven't been able to commentate this just because personal life's gotten in the way for a few weeks. But
Yeah.
let's go over the groups real quick, and let's go over. Oh, don't tell me my group stopped loading. I had it on matches, and now
Uh-oh.
I have to reload the
I
page.
can, you know what? I can start us off with Group 1.
Okay.
Group 1
All right.
is Fluxo Demons, W7M Esports, Ravens, and Fakazino. And we actually do have a result this time. It's taken us long enough to do the pod that we have a result. There's been one match played. It is Fluxo Demons went up against Fakazino, and Fluxo won that one. So they're top of the group right now.
Yeah, and guess what? They won it 16-0.
Woo! Oh,
Woo!
that is also, that is another thing to mention. This tournament, all of Gamers Club tournaments are in CS:GO. Just as a thing here, all of them are in CS:GO. So that's they're still going up to 16. Group 2, sorry, consists of Mocreas.
Did you go over all the teams, like the two that didn't play?
Well, W7M and Esports and Ravens are there. They haven't played yet.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Just,
Okay. I didn't know if they were mentioned. I just, slipped my mind.
Group 2, Mocreas, Qualifiers, Gaze, Furia, and 1.6. And
I love that a team's named 1.6. By the way, that's fancy,
I'm wondering if they're like all like 30-something year old players who are just like, hey, we're doing something fun, because they were around when 1.6 existed.
Why you have?
I'm not having a go. Are you kidding me?
I'm teasing.
Run it
back. Watch the bot. Watch the bot. Look. Mocreas beat. I believe it's Mocreas beat Qualifiers Gaze, right?
Yep.
And Qualifiers Gaze beat 1.6.
Yep.
So Fury have yet to play.
Yep.
Mocreas are 1-0, and if Mocreas beat 1.6, Mocreas are through no matter what.
Yeah.
And Furia have to win basically 2. I think basically, honestly, if Furia beat Qualifiers in 1.6, which you would expect them to, they'll be through. The result versus Mocreas won't even matter at that point. So, but that's Group 2. Group 3, MIBR, Kiso, Plata y Medio. I know I'm saying that wrong. It might be Medio. It might be Medio. So, Plata y Medio and Kidis Grasa. Now, Kidis Grasa withdrew from this event.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And I'm not actually going to ask Bittner why. It's just one of those things. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's not that it might upset him. It's just, it might be a personal thing. You never know.
He might just be sad that they're not playing, and that's why you upset him.
I mean, it's not really hugely public need for public information. You know what I mean? So anyway, MIBR beat Kiso, and Kiso beat Plata y Medio. So it is going to be MIBR and Kiso through. Group 4, Divina, Sundogs, Kafina, Ascend. You know them. And so Divina beat Kafina, actually steamrolled Kafina 16-2. Kafina beat Ascend. Sundogs beat Ascend. So Ascend are just flat out.
Yep.
And Divina are guaranteed, but it might be. They're guaranteed to be through. Yeah, no, they are because they beat Kafina.
Right. Oh, yes, that makes sense.
So they have the tiebreaker versus Kafina. So even if Sundogs beats Divina, it would just bump Divina to second.
Yeah.
So they're through.
Cool.
But it means that Sundogs and Kafina are going to be the head-to-head's basically going to be winning you're in.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. They have until the 20th to finish their matches, so they'll finish it this week.
Yep.
And then we get the playoffs all the way through the weekend. So keep your eyes peeled for the next episode of Brace for Impact, where we'll go over the rest of the results, shall we? So, that's essentially what it's going to be.
Let's put a pin in that tournament and just like
exactly. We'll put a pin in that tournament. That's a good way to put it. So,
so the next thing I guess to talk about in South America is a final. The
Brazilian Game Show, yes.
Brazilian Game Show final. So there was an online stage, and of the two groups, so the way it worked is you got 2 groups of 4. Then the winner of the groups go directly to a semifinal, and the second place, the runners up, second place and third place play each other in the quarterfinal to determine who goes up against that X team in the semifinal.
Yeah.
And it's the
instead of 2B and A1, it's 2B and 3A.
Yeah. It's weird. So yeah, I mean, coming into this, MIBR, I'm gonna skip the quarterfinals here.
Oh,
MIB,
I was going to mention just real quick that
yeah,
um, B4, which became Fluxo for the final, dropped that best of one on Inferno to MIBR. Now it
yeah,
was right before the player break for Brazil,
right.
but B4 did not look good. And
And this was
that's
after Dallas as well. Like it was in that
yeah, it
weird
was
time,
right after the
right
Dallas
after
land.
Dallas.
Yeah.
So
So what do you call it? I would say that's a little bit of foreshadowing about what we're going to talk about. So continuing on to the quarterfinals, there, Parks. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, B4 go up against Davina in a quarterfinal matchup because they were the second place team in their group. They won against Davina, and W7M on the other side faced off against Storm Power. W7M win their match. That leaves us to the semifinals: MIBR versus B4. Winner of that goes to this finals, and and it was B4 that won. They got the revenge story. It was a 2-0 and a fairly convincing one. I mean, a 16-13,
Oh,
16-12.
close.
It's
Yeah,
close, but
close.
it's convincing enough, right? It's not, Anyways,
I wouldn't say 16-13, 16-12 is convincing. It's just it's a win.
it's a win. Okay. Well, on the other side, Furia faced off against W7M, and they won 2-0, 16-12, 16-12. So that led to Fluxo and Furia going into the finals at the studio. And you know what? It was not Fluxo's day at all. 16-4 on Inferno, 16-12 on Anubis. Furia, whatever they ate, just it worked because
Listen,
they took that one quite well. At least on the first map, whew.
a little bit of wordplay for you. Demons no fluxo translates to demons in flow. Well, there is definitely no fluxo. There's definitely no flow
They were
because
just
they.
demons.
Why do you gotta ruin my wordplay? But no, because it's the Inferno again that I want to point out here, right? The 16-4. They just really were on the back foot on this one. And the Anubis was a lot closer. Remember, this is a map that Fluxo pulled out against, I want to say, might have been Fury itself, right? But
Hmm.
it's one of these things where it's like, I'm, I don't know how much to read into it because this is Go, and I believe it was Goddess or Nani put out a really good tweet that was like, listen, Impact's got us playing a CS2.
Yeah.
Gamers Club's got us playing Go. We just give us time to work on all the things, and we'll sort this out. You know what I mean? Which is fair, right? That's a totally fair point.
Yeah.
Counterpoint, I mean, Fury is in the same boat with you, mate. Like, I
All
don't
of
know
them are
what to,
all
like,
of them are doing it. Yeah. So
exactly. Like, if you had lost to like Nigma or something, right, and you made that tweet, I'd have been like, that's fair. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good point.
yeah.
But you lost to literally a team in the exact same situation, so I don't know. It's not the first time they've lost either to Furia. The second time they lost to Furia, or I should say, this was actually the second time they lost to Furia. The
Yeah.
first time they lost to Furia, let's talk about next, Parks.
Yeah.
ESL Impact Week 4.
So we were a bit lucky, I guess, in some respects. There was a mid tournament break
Yeah.
essentially where they had week 4, and then last week was a week off. So we don't have. The next 2 weeks are gonna be jam packed as a result.
Oh,
Which, like, the more I think about it, it's like, why didn't you just do 7 straight weeks a game?
yeah. I'm just looking
Like,
at it going, oh god, episode 29 is gonna be so
it's gonna be just Impact.
busy.
It's great.
It's gonna be so busy.
There is no time to leave it for anything else. So week 4, the first CS2 matchup in Impact in South America, Furia going up against Fluxo Demons. It is a 2-1 going the way of Furia. Fluxo, they won 13-10 on Anubis, 13-5, 13-8 on Vertigo. Excuse me, and Ancient for Furia. So they took the first match, and that's a big one because that leaves Furia at the top.
Yeah.
Not necessarily guaranteed into Valencia,
I
but
mean, no,
certainly
but
like
they've got Kidis
they're
Grasa and they've got Ravens and they've got Davina.
uh
So I'm like,
no, they only got 2 matches.
no, they have 3. They have 2 matches on the final week.
Oh, that is so weird. The block at the top only mentions 2, like 2 blocks. That's interesting.
Anyway,
Anyways,
So like they're teams they should beat. Although Divina looking kind of strong, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Fluxo's remaining matches: Kafina, that should be a rollover. Kidis Grasa, and then MIBR is the last one they got to play.
Oh boy.
And that's the interesting one because MIBR are sitting 2-2, very much on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
But if you get a scenario where Fluxo go into the last week at 5-1, and MIBR go into the last week at 4-2, and MIBR beat Fluxo, then Fluxo won't even be at the LAN. MIBR will pip him to it. So that's the big one to look at the end of the season. Anyway, I'm not surprised that back on the series real quick. I'm not surprised they lost the Vertigo because if you remember Masters Femenina, right? The grand final Masters Femenina. Granted, that was on Go. I understand, but the whole grand final, the whole tournament came down to a 1v1 clutch on 15-14. So it's like both these teams are very good on Vertigo. So I'm not surprised that Fluxo got pipped second time round by the same team, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little shocked at the Ancient because Fluxo were literally demons on that map, and they weren't close. I mean, 13-8 is not close. Like if you lost 13-11, you lost 13-10, you lost 13-9, I would say, okay, 13-8, you're a little out of it by then. So kind of surprised at that. But I don't think I'm not worried. As a Fluxo fan, I'm not worried. Okay. But
You're
it
watching.
is something to pay attention to. Yeah.
All right.
Notepads are definitely out. Anyway, rest of Impact. Let's go over the rest of South America real quick.
Divina versus Kafina, 13-10, 16-14 for Kafina, and then 13-11 to finish off that series. That was Ancient, Nuke, and Vertigo. So Divina win that. They stay as 3-1, which is pretty cool. And Kafina become officially eliminated from Impact as a whole. Go out 0-4. So that's unfortunate for them. Next day, gameplay came through. MIBR versus Kidis Gracia. 13-0. The first 13-0 in CS2 in professional games.
Yes.
It was I ended up finding the tweet while we were waiting on the last one.
Oh, the HLTV tweet?
The HLTV tweet was Team Spirit makes history as the first men's team to not lose a single round in a game of Counter-Strike 2. The very first one was MIBR FE, who beat Kidis Gracias on overpass 13-0 in the ESL Impact League. So, interesting thing, both those 13-0s happened on overpass. That's a little bit more.
Oh, that is interesting.
That's very interesting.
I'm glad they add that footnote because I was primed and ready, mate.
Yeah, it was gonna be on
If they didn't add the footnote, I'd add the community note. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay.
Next one. After that, 13-0 drubbing. They go to Mirage. Kidis Grasa win 13-11, which is a good response.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I was gonna say. That's exactly the way you want to respond, right?
Yeah. So. I want to say, by the way, I'm just thinking about this. I want to say a long time ago when SK Gaming were still playing. I think they've played up against a North American team. I forget which one. I want to say it might have been Renegades actually at the time. And SK Gaming 16-0'd on the first map of the 3-map series, and then Renegades 16-0'd SK Gaming on the second map in that series. And so they had to go to a third map, and both had just lost their respect, the other team's they'd lost the other team's map pick by a huge margin, and then they come to the final match, and then it's an actual normal CS match. It was so weird. That I might be saying that wrong. I might be amalgamating a bunch of matches together, but I know SK Gaming and Renegades had a few 16-0s against each other back in the day. Anyways, getting back on track with this one, Mocreas went up against Ravens.
Well, we didn't even hit our third map. Third map was Inferno.
Oh, no, 13-6. My bad. My bad.
So Kidis Grasa were down big.
Yeah.
6-1 in the first half, I think, or something like that. Ran it back to 6-6 at halftime, and then didn't get a single round for the second half on T side. I was like, guys, and everybody in the chat, a lot of people in the chat were pulling for Kidis Grasa too.
He had us in the
first half. These are people in the community that are very, very, very.
He had us in the first half. Not gonna lie.
Exactly right. But no, it's a good showing from Kidis Grasa though. I mean, it's the underdog, right? They've played very hard, I would say, against these teams. Most of these teams. I mean, you look at the Davina series that went 1917 on Go, granted, but like
Yeah.
they lost an overpass to, or they beat Kafina, and then they lost to Ravens like 16-14 on one of the maps. So it's a punchy, competitive team, way more than I gave him credit for in the primer. 11. Please stop bullying me. But aside from that,
Benny.
but, but
The next match was a 2-0.
yes.
Um,
Oh.
he's looked at the stats, guys. He's looked at the scoreline. The first map, 13-2 on Mirage. Mocreas took that over Ravens. The second map, Ancient, 28-24. We cannot get away from overtime.
Did you see Milk's tweet about this?
I did not. I did not.
Milk had a great tweet that was like, MR12 should reduce the amount of games they go to overtime. And then it just said South America. And it had the scoreline as they were going into the last overtime period. I was like, Milk, that's a banger.
That is.
That's absolute banger.
You cannot. You can take the MR16 out of Brazil, but you cannot take the MR30 out of Brazil.
I literally, it's like his what the heck? I didn't mean to pocket that. I meant to to copy the link. I just found it. It's his most recent tweet, actually. So I'm gonna send it to you just to laugh at while we're recording the pod. But it's a freaking, it is a freaking great tweet. Oh, he says South America. Nope. Well, look, at the end of the day, Mocreas did 2-0. So it's a good win for Mocreas.
Yeah.
Like Ravens, I always remind people like they went to Masters Femenina 7, right? So it's like you have the orgs, the 5 orgs, right? Granted, W7M backed out, but you had the 5 orgs, and then you have Ravens, right? And so this is a team that you want to beat. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is the measure. Like if you're Mocreas and you're going, right, Furia, Fluxo, they might be a little bit too far past us.
Yeah.
But everybody else is the litmus test, right? Like that is who you want to beat. So, and that's what's happened. Like they had Fluxo right out the gate, Mocreas. They lost 16-10, 16-14. Then they had Furia. They got smoked 16-5 on both.
Yeah.
But then they had to play Kafina. They they smoked Kafina. They had to play Ravens. Like they scraped by. I mean, they I shouldn't say scraped by because they did really blow them away on Mirage. But like, you know, the what is that? 4 overtimes or whatever it is. It's you know, they found a way to win against the teams they need to. So I think for Mocreas, the goal is like they got MIBR next, and that is a massive matchup because they are both 2-2.
Yeah.
And remember, the top 4 teams
Top 4
come back next season. So I think if you're looking at it going, you've already lost to Furia and Fluxo, going to the LAN might be out of the picture, but you can guarantee a spot next season if you can beat MIBR because Davina already did, and Davina are sitting at 3-1, and you want to join those ranks. You know what I mean? So
if you can lock yourself in like that, like you're, as much as it's pretty easy to get into, like this isn't Europe. South America, North America has been a little bit harder recently, but I mean South America is still kind of young in terms of the open qualifiers really posing a huge challenge compared to something like Gamers Club where there's a lot more teams that kind of come in. But yeah, I mean if you're able to lock in a spot and say, hey, yeah, season 5, no matter what happens, like we've been given a spot, that's something that you can go to an org and be like, hey, we're unsigned. We have a spot guaranteed. This isn't like a, oh yeah, sign us and we might get in. It is a sign us because we are in. So it's a big thing to think about. But yeah, it's a big point.
Yeah, because the thing is, right? If you're Mocreas, these next 2 weeks are do or die. Because you've got MIBR and then you got Davina, right? And then you got I believe they finished this Kittis Garasa, which with all due respect, should be a win. But like you're looking at it going, oh, whatchamacallit, you know, if we beat MIBR, if they beat both MIBR and Davina, it's a lock. It's over.
They're in. there's even potentially a chance that they make it
Fury
through.
at last.
Yeah.
Davina got to play Fury at last. So even if they lose to MIBR, if they can pick up a win versus Davina, then they know it's more than likely over anyway, and they're in next season because Davina got to play Fury at last. But anyway,
And that was something we've talked about with Mocres. Just quickly, I know we got to move on. That's the thing with Mocres' schedule was they got the hard games out of the way first. And it's left them with all these games matter so much more to them now because it's teams that are kind of towards their level of competition or maybe even below, and it leaves them in a good spot to potentially close out the season on a high and just say, we're here now, we're good. Like you said, that we are going to move on. Let's go to
Europe real quick.
Thank you. I was gonna say.
Sorry.
I wanted to go to Europe, but I didn't want to assume.
It's a story of two teams playing twice. So
yeah.
Over in Group A, one win gang versus Biggie Keepa, one win, looking better and better every single week here, Parks.
Yeah.
13-7 over Big on Overpass. They dropped Vertigo by the same scoreline. And then 16-14, an overtime win on Anubis over Biggie Keepa. Big loss if you're Biggie Keepa, by the way, because that is that's really a gut punch, I gotta say. I don't know how many teams in Europe make it back, by the way. How many teams make it back?
It's still top 4, I think. No, it's top
top 3.
No, yeah.
Oh, it's top 4. It's gonna be top 4.
Top 4, yeah.
Yeah, because you're gonna have the qualifier and 2 teams from each qualifier.
Right.
So but the big thing is for one wing, that's a big win. They got to play VP next.
Yeah.
And then they got Nigma at the end. So it's like you don't fancy him in the matchup versus Nigma. But, if they can get the win versus VP, they probably have given themselves a spot for season 5. And that's the big thing for if you're one win.
And I don't know how they decide between the two groups. Like if it is top 4 from each group that survive or if it's just like the top 8 overall.
I think it's going to be top 4 from each group.
It might be top 8 overall. Like they might do it that way. I don't know. It depends. It's weird. The way it's marked in NA and South America is different compared to Europe because there's other it's very clear and concise. But they also have like different colors defining. Like there's anyways
on the Wikipedia
page, which is where most people I think would get this kind of information from. Anyways, there's a few like central stores of information where you'd go and look. Anyways, continuing on. Something interesting about Group A before we move on, by the way, Ensathina and VP Angels have both been knocked out of contention.
Oh yeah, they're done.
Full stop. Like they're both 0-3, which is unfortunate, but is what happening. Going over to Group B then for Week 4 matches.
Oh, well, there's one other game in Group A. Hold on.
Oh, I thought you didn't talk
played
about
Big Akipa, and that was 13-6, 13-2. So Big really didn't put up much of a fight.
No.
The big point of note is that it moves Nigma to 4-0. So they're actually off next week, Nigma, and then they got to play one win gang.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks for one win gang because they got to play VP. So you bet Nigma's going to be like this to the games, watching every move, and then just boom, here you go. But yeah, it's a big step for Nigma because I think pretty much they're
pretty much locked in. I think
they're a game and a half ahead of NIP right now. Yeah. So
although NIP do have to play both Ensathina and Big Akipa next. So it's looking like it should be NIP qualifying in the second place. However, one win gang could potentially cause a little bit of an upset depending on how they do against both VP Angels and then against Nigma. There's an outside chance of an upset.
Yeah, the only problem is NIP won the head to head.
Right.
So like even if like NIP drop a series, or I'm sorry, if NIP drop a series, let's say they lose to Big again, but then they beat Ents and one wing beat VP and they lose to Nigma, they're both 3-2. NIP will still have the go. So literally NIP have to just not lose both series.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. Now watch them do that because we said it. Week 4.
I mean, it did last time, mate.
Guild were the team that played 2 matches that week. They played up against their first match against Shinigami. That was a 2-0 for them. Shinigami. It's unfortunate. 13-2.
I'm actually shocked at that.
13-6.
That was a shock for me.
I would say the same. I think the way we looked at it was Shinigami were the better team.
Yeah.
Although they seem to be the more competitive team coming into Group B versus Guild, and Guild have just kind of turned around and said, well, we're going to win this one anyways.
Yeah, because they played Nine Pandas so close the opening week.
Yeah.
And then they lost to
It's
Letter
just
Cook right before they got signed, right?
it's just
To
been a
game, and
downward
they
spiral
lost
for
the
them.
players.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, you lost to a decent team. I would have fancied Letter Cook on paper anyway.
Yeah.
And then you come in and I definitely thought Guild was by far the worst team in this group. And they weren't even competitive. Like you said, 13-2. I
Yeah.
was like, what? So that's what I was shocked at. Anyway, the other matchup.
Gamer Legion Prism going up against Guild. It was a 13-8 on Ancient, a 13-11 on Anubis for Guild, and a 13-9 on Mirage. And yeah, I mean, we talked about the controversy last episode about Gamer Legion Prism and their whole thing. They're still 2-2. Like, I mean,
Yeah, it's actually a big win for Gamer Legion.
it's huge because now they go up against, well, they're going up against Nine Pandas Fearless, so probably not going to be the best for them. But
but Guild's got to play G2, and they're
yeah,
the only other team that's going to compete. Like, assuming it's top 4 for each group, they're the only other team that's got to compete for that 4th place to keep them in the league, right? So it's like one of these things where actually it might be a lock because
well, you
Gamer
got
Legion
a 0,
now
3
have
and a
the
1 and 3,
head-to-head, right?
so
Yeah, Gamer Legion have the head-to-head. So even if they both finish 2 and 3, because Gamer Legion have the head-to-head, they'll be fine. So yeah, actually, that is a massive
that's
win
a huge
because
win.
it guarantees Gamer Legion a spot in season 5. So that's a big win.
That's good. That's good for them, especially after everything. Okay, moving into North America then. As we sashay over.
Yes, this is. Oh, I'm so excited for them.
This is. Oh,
Oh, I'm so excited.
it was quite a week. First match of the week, EG Gold going up against Tsunami Sirens, and EG Gold have looked really good in Go.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you get to CS2, and it's upset o'clock. Tsunami Sirens 2-1 over EG Gold. They win 16-14 on Ancient, lose 13-11 on Inferno, and then 13-11 on Overpass. It was nail biting the entire way.
Oh yeah.
But hey, it goes their way, and with that win, I mean, Tsunami Sirens improved to 2-2, and it, in a weird way, it gives them an outside chance of making a top 4 appearance.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they have 3 matches still to go, so they've got Cherry Bombs next. Then they've got the big match for them is against Karma.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for the remainder of the season for them. But I mean, it keeps them, it puts them at 2-2. It ties them up with Team Karma, and it gives them an outside chance of staying in for another season, which would be great for them, and for the org.
Yeah, because Siren's run out is Cherry Bombs, Karma, Hyperion, whereas Karma have to play Shimmer next week.
Yeah.
So
Karma is Shimmer, Sirens, Totsugeki. So there's some bending in there that definitely has to happen.
There is a good chance Karma go 2-3, Sirens go 3-2, and that week 6 matchup is going to literally determine who is the 4th team. Yeah, who stays. You're exactly right. Because EG. The other thing is too, EG got FlyQuest next week. Like and they still got to play Shimmer. So if they drop to FlyQuest and they drop the series to Shimmer, then you got 2 teams you got like 3 teams basically scrapping for 2 spots.
Yeah, and I mean this is what we were kind of looking at earlier in the season. And like this was in our primer was these 3 teams would be kind of fighting for these spots, and it was going to be Shimmer and FlyQuest at the top. And we can continue actually talking about in a second the other match that we want to talk about first. Though
before you go to the other match, I just want to say I think that this series that we had between EG Gold and Sirens is probably the best Impact series in any of the leagues so far this season. Like, if you get a chance to go back and watch the VOD, watch the VOD because that series was superb. Anyway, other match.
Here's the match I actually like more because we casted it. Cherry Bombs went up against Hyperion, and this one was kind of a battle for the bottom to see, who doesn't end up on the bottom. Because these are teams that, coming into the season, we got to be realistic about this. Coming into the season, we looked at these 3 teams and we said Cherry Bombs, they fought to qualify, great for them. That's what we wanted to see from them, but we don't expect too much. We looked at Totsugeki, we said, hey, a good team again, kind of coming in one of the last rungs to kind of come in. We don't expect much from them, but we'll be happy to see what they do. Hyperion was the big question mark. We don't know much about the squad. We know it has some big name players that have kind of come and played around, but we haven't seen them actually really. We haven't seen much of them, and big question mark kind of got answered. Cherry Bombs end up 2-0ing Hyperion, 13-10 on Inferno, 16-14 on Ancient. Hyperion now sit 0-4, Cherry Bombs 1-3, and I mean, it's not it's not necessarily a consolation win. They fought for it, right?
No,
But
I mean,
it's not in the overall it puts them a little bit higher. That's really all it does. I don't
yeah,
think it
yeah,
puts them in the conversation of
and
qualifying
it's
for a fourth spot, for example.
yeah, and like it's the story that like we talked about the qualifier and said like
Mm-hmm.
the big story was that they made it. You know what I mean? Like that was
Yeah,
the
the
big
huge series against Wanted Goons, which
yeah,
huge.
and that was like the point it was made was like that really was like their number one goal, and now they've won. They've actually won
Yeah,
an Impact League series. Shelby and Chels, the two Canadians, played
they
unbelievably
did.
well
They
in
played
this
really
series.
well. It was
So
a sight to behold. And especially because,
yeah,
like, I mean, when we watched the qualifiers, a huge portion of the win was due to Swan. She played out of her mind on the op during the
oh yeah,
qualifier, and then now you're coming into CS2, and it's Chels and Shelby who are starting. So you're seeing, different players are at different points are really starting to click, and that's good. And
yeah,
I'm happy for them for that.
and now I'm looking at that Totsugeki series going. Can Cherry Bombs finish with 2 wins? I feel like
Yeah.
Price is Right. Ladies, do I have 2 wins? And I'm waiting to hear the car horn. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm waiting for. So, but
What's behind door number 3? It's a brand new
it's
record.
another series win. Anyway, uh, the other two matchups, but well done to Cherry Bombs. By the way, I put my
Mhm.
hands up because I thought they were going to go 0-7. I think I said as much on the primer.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. And I totally look
It
forward to being
was.
wrong. I
I
love being
mean,
wrong.
we took safe bets on those ones, like what we thought would be safe because it's one of those things. But yeah, I'm
Oh,
glad to be wrong.
there's no safety, mate.
There's
There's
no
no safety. Anyway,
safe as
other two series.
as the great Gordani said, safe is dead.
Yes.
FlyQuest
FlyQuest
Red
Red and
Karma
Karma.
13-6 Overpass, 13-8 on Mirage. That's FlyQuest Red's game to win pretty much all the time, as they should be. That's the expectation for FlyQuest Red, is to just sweep everybody, except maybe Shimmer have a bit of competition against
Well,
them.
it also means, by the way, that next week's match versus EG Gold for FlyQuest, it's winning you're in.
Yeah.
So if they beat EG Gold, nobody else can match 5 wins. So they would be. It
Well,
doesn't matter if they
nobody that
lose.
matters can match it because
Well, the
Shimmer
point
are
is like,
currently 4-0. So
but the point is like the top two go to land. So
yes,
like it doesn't matter if they lose the series to Shimmer because they're still going to Valencia. So the
yeah,
next series for FlyQuest literally qualifies them for Valencia. Oh, I'm sorry, they got to play 2 more series. They got to play Cherry Bombs
yeah. All
after
these
that.
teams have 3 matches left. By the way,
That's right. We play 7 in North America. Anyway,
wee.
this is what happens when you wedge Europe in the middle.
Yeah.
It confuses the boomer. Shimmer did play, by the way. They had Totsugeki. 13-8 on Inferno. 16-14 for Totsugeki, by the way, on Mirage.
Yeah.
13-11 on Overpass. Really close series against Totsugeki, which I was kind of very surprised at.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought Shimmer would have come in and just smacked them all around.
Yeah.
And shout out to Tokis who played really well on the Inferno and the Mirage. Catalyst played pretty solid as well,
Yeah.
but Shimmer eventually did get the better of them 2-1. So that moves Shimmer to 4-0 with FlyQuest Red. And yeah, if Shimmer beat Karma and beat EG Gold, then we're gonna have battle of the 5-0s at the top. So
Yeah. That
you know,
is genuinely October 28th. Mark your calendar. That is the battle for the top. That's the battle for first place right there. Is FlyQuest Red versus Shimmer at that point. So yeah, that is the ESL Impact results, and it's shaping up to be an interesting final. An interesting final 2 weeks.
North America specifically.
North
Too.
America specifically, yeah. And the greatest part is all that's going to be done by the time the next episode comes out, because that final match day is Sunday. So we will have so much to talk about.
Next Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
Yeah, next Sunday. Well, in 2 weeks' time, all that's going to happen. So that leaves us with just kind of the news. And I mean, there's a good amount of news to cover. We got a little bit here and there. Let's just follow down the list of what we've got. And I think we'll leave we'll leave the FlyQuest Red one to last, because I think that's an important one to leave to last. But
okay, that's cool. Let's start with Shia leaving Team Spirit. So
yes,
people remember Team Spirit had a team, and
They didn't qualify.
They didn't qualify, unfortunately. I was big
Yeah.
sad when they didn't. But she left the team. Announced that she left the team. The team is still there for all intents and purposes, by the
Yeah.
way. So it's not like Spirit. I thought Spirit was just going to drop the team afterwards, but it looks like they might be building towards season 5. Not a surprise. Hasn't announced where she's going next or what she's doing next, but you know, it was expected when they didn't qualify that there were at least going to be roster changes, right?
Yeah.
Looks just another one coming through.
So that is Team Spirit. Next, in terms of leaving and disbandments, KZG, Hera, the squad that we saw got signed in Australia, they have decided to all go their separate ways. So they are going to disband, and it was short-lived. It was short-lived in Australia, or in the Oceania for a team to be there. And yeah, it's just that sucks. There's
Yeah.
the
The
players
reason
just
I
seemed
the
didn't
reason
want to stay around.
I
So
pontificate or gesture like that is because um Phoebe, I feel really bad for it because after the qualifier and what she's seen, the region do, almost taking HSG, she was like, "I want to get better. I 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 want to get better."
yeah,
And I'm like, "Excellent." And then the team disbands under her, and she's like, "Where am I gonna play?" And I'm like, I just felt gutted.
where
You know what I mean? Because I was like, man,
yeah,
like this player, Phoebe's pretty good. Like, it's just, I don't know.
one of those
I don't.
things. All right, well, we'll keep moving on then. Speaking
Oh,
of
I found the tweet. I just found the tweet. She said, "I
yeah,
really want to keep improving over months and months, but what can you do? I guess I don't know. Go next. I'll try and get a new team going or something." And I'm like, I know she's deflated. So Phoebe, if you're listening to this, don't give up. Please don't give up
yeah,
because one of the next tweets is her downloading a Valorant patch. Please don't. Come back.
don't
There's
go
still
there.
more in this game for
That's
you.
worse. That's the worst option of the two.
Yeah, that
I would
is that
rather you
is.
quit than go to Valorant. I am so sorry to
I
say.
mean, I know it's very hard to find copium, but mate, that's not copium. Please don't do it. Anyway, but no, I really wish her luck, and I hope she stays around and plays competitively because she's a very
Yeah,
good player, and
and
like
yeah,
it's one that it's a player that's not fully developed yet. That I'm like, there's a lot of
there's
potential
potential.
there.
Okay, continuing on then. We referred to the team the entire time as Divina. It's actually ex Divina now. Divina has dropped their female roster
We're
in
good at not spoiling.
yeah, in South America. They've dropped them. So as I say, we are not saying goodbye forever. We will bring you fun, interesting, engaging content, staying close to you in a different way. So I think it's just one of those things of like there was no matching whatever. Yeah, they needed a temporary break, is what Davina said. They needed a temporary break, so this is what they've done. So it's ex Davina, actually in South America, not Davina, as we said the entire podcast. We are going to have a little bit of the good news at least, but that's going to be in a second because guess who else is leaving at the end of the Impact season? Lilutens from Ravens.
Oh
She
yes,
is
that's true.
announcing that at the end of the season,
I
this
don't
will
know
be
if
her
it's a full
last.
retirement because I couldn't. I hate this. It was one of those like screenshots
I'm
that
here to tell you that
they
the ESL
post.
Impact is going to be the last camp playing alongside Ravens.
Ravens. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So it's like I don't know if she's retiring or if she's just leaving Ravens. I can't
As for
imagine
my
she's
future, I'm
retiring.
going to start selling crafts on the beach, so see you at Miramar 2024. I do not know what that means.
I don't know what that means either, but I'd imagine that means she doesn't want to play competitive CS anymore, which would be
Probably.
sad if that's the case. That would be
Yeah.
very sad. So look, best of luck though, and
Mm-hmm.
then the game's always here if you ever do want to come back. I mean, it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
going anywhere. So
Okay. Last bit of sad news.
yes,
Uh, Malady has been benched by Astralis,
yep,
and that is the last bit of sad news in terms of
yeah.
players and stuff because Astralis immediately announced that Ismo from Z
Yep.
female 9 female, I don't know, you typed
I think
XI
that's 11, by the
is
way. Mate. Not 9.
whoops.
What the hell? No, but
I got it
no,
wrong.
but I think it's she. I said it's she
She
previously, so I'm
female.
going to stick with she
Okay.
female. But yeah, they signed her from she female. She's 16, so it's a talent they want to develop. It
Again,
goes with the
yeah.
mantra that they want to
That's what
develop
they're
Danish
doing.
talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean, it's not. Astralis aren't in the league. and they're not competitive,
Yeah.
and they're going to continue to not be.
I think
I
this
mean,
is I think what they've
this
done.
signing doesn't do anything for
I
me. Like
think
it
what
just
they looked at, okay, but I think what they looked at is they went, you know what? If we're just gonna develop players, let's just develop players, and that's what
and
they're
that's
doing.
fair. That's fair. Like don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on Astralis, but it's one of these things also where I'm like, yeah, maybe it's like old Astralis, like
Yeah,
old Astralis, like TSM Kingwin,
yeah.
like
When they
levels
first
where
created the org.
yeah, when and you're just there to develop talent and bring
Yeah,
talent through, and then eventually the talent gets good enough and you start competing like that. That's how I feel like they're going, which I'm totally fine with. Um, but as in terms of competitiveness right now and going into season 5, I don't see it from Astralis. But anyway, um, that's the last bit of news.
Well, there's two more bits. There's two more
Okay.
bits. There's the one that we wanted to quickly mention and just say IESF has appointed a Saudi royal family member to its board. Um, it just continues. Like, I mean, we had our conversation at the start, going, do we really want to talk about this? Because we just continually talk about
Yeah.
IESF and all the stupid things they do.
Yeah.
So, two things
Two
you got
quick
to,
points.
yeah,
Two quick points. The reason why it's an issue to bring it. The reason why I bring it up in the first place.
yeah,
Number one is that the British. So all these ISF has all these national organizations or whatever under their chain, right? And we've talked about all the corruption that is rifled throughout a lot of them,
yeah,
right? So the British esports organization or association, whatever you want to call them, they announced a partnership immediately, like a week after this announcement of the Saudi royal family member. They
yep.
announced a partnership with the Saudi Esports Federation because money's changing hands is what's happening. So, and now you create back channels with which you can transact a lot of cash. That's the problem, right? Is that I'm not saying they're money laundering yet, but you open up the possibility definitely to launder money, right? We've seen the attempt to do so in Europe already, with the Eastern European qualifier or whatever it was for IESF.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. The second point I want to make is that the ESL FASIC Group is owned by the Saudi Investment Fund, right?
Yeah.
What's to stop the Saudis in IESF from making a whole bunch of rules or whatever, and then dragging the ESL FACEIT group underneath its branch, and now
Well,
everybody's got to play with a wank ass rule book.
just quickly on that, just saying this: ESL Face is owned by Savvy Games, who the chairman is the Crown Prince. There's some
Right.
internal ranking here to where we go.
But like they can make
This is
the
just
rule
a
book
yeah, but
themselves
so we've
now
got
and
it.
make
Okay, but we've got
everybody in esports play by it. Like
all I'm
that's the
saying.
problem.
All I'm saying is the Crown Prince is probably bigger than just a prince. So like,
But I know, but they definitely they talk to each
oh,
other.
they talk to each
It's
other
a,
100%.
and it's
I
not a
don't
prince;
think
it's a royal family member too. So it's like,
no,
look, here's the
sorry, the new chairman of ISF is, I have the name here, Prince Faisal bin Bandar Al Sud.
yeah,
Right? That's
mm-hmm.
that's the prince. That's the prince that
Yeah,
owns that is now the chairman of ISF.
okay,
The owner, sorry, the chairman of Savvy Games, who owns ESL Faceit, is the crown prince himself, Mohammed bin Salman. So
right.
there's a bit of internal ranking. I agree. They could do whatever the hell they wanted, and everybody has to play along, and everybody has to listen.
That's the problem that I was
That's
going
the
to make. Is that
problem.
now they can create their own rule book and make
However,
everybody
what
play
I'm
by it.
saying is you're causing a little. What I'm saying is there's also an internal family rank within this whole structure here
Oh, I agree.
that I don't think IESF is going to be the big dog anytime soon.
I agree. But if anyone wants to know what problems this would cause, really quickly, there's a very good Twitter account, and it's a group. I believe it's called the Hindenburg Report. Hindenburg Research, right? They're in a research fund. They invest in they're known for short selling and things like that.
Right.
They did a huge report on a situation exactly like this in India into the Adani Group. It's the exact same situation, mate.
Yeah.
Adani owns the company, and he has members of his family that he branches out different subsidiaries within the company to, and those family members do things like money launder, collude, like things like that. All of that's in play now. That's the problem, right? Like that is the problem. and that money can be used to push actors, good actors,
Yeah.
and keep them out of the
Out.
scene and just
Yeah.
continue to corrupt. So that's the problem that I have. Like it's like this just doesn't end well. Like it never does
No.
end well. You know what I mean? But I think because the only silver lining, believe it or not, and this is so backwards to say, and I know this logic might not work for a lot of people, but the only silver lining is that esports doesn't make money. So the Crown Prince, you're right, he's the chairman because he's the chairman of the Saudi Investment Fund.
Yeah.
So he's by rule, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
this is VC. This is like almost like a VC group.
Yes.
And we've seen what happens when VC groups don't make money on bets. MSG Group.
Yeah.
So what did MSG Group do to CLG? They gutted them, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, they
So
destroyed them.
the only silver lining is that if EFG don't make the money, the Saudi Investment Fund could eventually come in and just cut that out, and then ESL go independent again. But then again, it means that they can't rely on the Saudi money. So it's just not a good situation for anybody involved. That's the problem right
Yeah.
now.
Okay. The final bit of news we're gonna get to, and this we saved the best for last on this, honestly.
Yes.
Like this is the best point, and
Yes.
it was such a good ending to this whole thing that we just kind of had to leave it in. FlyQuest Red as an organization are relatively new. We've known of the Red brand that went through CLG, and now has carried on through FlyQuest Red in FlyQuest Red. They had a what is it called? They had a mixer. They had a mixer event, and
Yep.
so all the players from both the Valorant and the CS team were there.
Catalunya wine mixer.
Oh my
They had a
god.
Catalunya.
And something they just announced, something they announced on during, like this is a week ago now, but something they announced before the event was to begin was they've actually created something called a Red Hall of Fame, and that this award honors those in esports who make a difference for marginalized groups within the ecosystem. And the first inductee, what were you looking around for there?
I have it in the bin, and I'm gonna go get it real quick.
Okay, you go get
No,
the bin.
continue
You go
talking.
get the
Continue
bin.
talking.
The first
Continue
inductee,
talking.
yeah, the first inductee for the Red Hall of Fame is Christine. Oh my God, it's Potter. So just Potter for most people. And it's for her achievements in both Valorant and CS. This is a player who, for a long time was on those Red rosters, had a lot of success with those teams. I believe she was one of the founding members that event of the team that joined CLG Red. You probably understand that more than you probably remember more than I do. They'll talk soon.
Yeah, so she was like she goes way back,
Yeah.
even like way back to like SK Gaming Ladies, Girls Got Game. She was on the MTV show back in like 2004.
Yeah.
I mean, 8 world championships as a women's Counter-Strike player, right?
Yeah.
She becomes a talent. She does tier 1 events, mind you, right? For ESL as a talent, excellent talent by the way.
Yeah.
Then she goes to Valorant, becomes a coach in Valorant. And what happens in Valorant? She wins literally the world championships, the co-ed world championships, the top trophy as a coach. So there is a legacy of Potter that is like she is going to get the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Esports Awards. You know
Yeah.
that they do the Esports Awards every year,
Yeah.
and
Lifetime
it's kind
achievement.
of a little bit
100%.
odd. Yeah, she's good
So
because she has a 20+ year history of Lifetime Achievement. I just want them to bring back the Faithful Wall.
I don't know what you're talking about because this is before
Okay,
my
so
time.
CLG had an old wall
Yeah.
where they put all their best community members on, right? All their like most active community members in the
Yeah.
Discord, everything else, and your boy might have the old picture frame from the
That's
Faithful Wall.
amazing. Oh my
So
god.
bring back the Faithful. Look, they've done well. Like,
Oh
but
my
bring back.
god.
Side note, well, not to take away from Potter's comment,
No.
but
But
generally,
that's crazy.
like her legacy is unbelievably historic,
It's
and
everywhere.
the fact that it stretched 3 decades, like
Huge.
it's actually insane how good she is at what she's done in esports. So
And it's not
congratulations
even
to
just
her.
as a
It's
player
totally
as well.
deserved.
Like it's as a coach, it's as an
Yeah,
influencer across the whole thing. It's just it's insane.
it's
Congratulations
literally
to her.
every branch.
So
So
incredible. All right, Benny. We are at episode's end. What are you watching?
Oh, that's tough.
It's not.
Um,
It's not. Come on. Not that tough.
Red October, baby.
Oh my
Let's go,
god.
Bills. No, I am watching that, but
Yeah.
I think I'll probably be more seriously watching Liga Femenina because I am very interested to see who goes as the top two and how really honestly I'm kind of curious the timing of like how are the qualifiers going to work and then how
Yeah.
when is Masters Femenina because I haven't announced any of those details yet. So I that's what I'm going to be watching. Parks, what are you watching?
Well, I'm gonna be watching ESL Impact these next 2 weeks. I've had significant help investing into our community casting layout, so that'll be keep an eye out for that coming up Wednesday, Thursday.
Back
That's
this
gonna be
week.
looking it's gonna be looking really good. I'm excited to show you all because you the people in NA that I have done the community casting with have shown them like I've shown them one or two screenshots, but they have not seen the whole thing and they have not had the chance to go through it all. So that's something neat. And then as well, season 47 starts up anew on the 19th. So it comes up quick, and now all of a sudden we're back to CLG Red in advanced yet again. I believe they held their spot.
Like West Red in
Like
advance.
West Red. You got us all talking. I'm crossed. EG Gold, I believe, made main. They nearly
Yes.
made advanced. They made main. And then there's a few other teams that have made intermediate and all that. So keeping an eye across the board among all those teams, which would be quite fun, I think.
Well, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to ECI season. I'm gonna have to start prepping for that. But anyway,
Yeah.
that is it from us. Thank you so much for watching another hour plus episode. Even though we try to keep it to an hour every
We kept
time.
it close. We kept it
Yeah,
close.
we get close. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next episode. Until then, take care.